Now we are in one of the dirtiest, trashiest, and most dangerous area in the city of Singapore. There's a man sleeping. We just walked into someone's house and he's lying there asleep. We're getting a few strange looks. This Singaporean name is Roman. He is sleeping right on the floor. Let's go before the dogs show up. Look, this is Harry Potter card. I have no idea what should I do. Hey guys! Today, you're going to see the coolest metropolis on the planet from a different perspective. This is heavy travel. Let's go! Singapore is one of the world's leading economies. This island city-state is one of the safest and most livable places on Earth. Just 200 years ago, it was a tiny village surrounded by jungle. Actually, not 200 years. Just 20 years ago, no one could have imagined that Singapore would compete with Japan and South Korea on the global stage. Skyscrapers, tall buildings, they're all beautiful and impressive, but they're no longer surprising. I wondered if there are places in Singapore where people still live the way they did 50 or even 100 years ago. Let's find out. This place reminds me of the Moscow subway. Look at the height of the ceilings. It's similar. There are posters, ads, and little stores everywhere.
Hello. We need to go here.
Need to buy a card or
Ang Mo Kyo.
I can't understand anything.
I don't understand nothing.
It's the local accent. It's technically English, but they call it Singlish. A mix of Chinese, Malay, and English. I have no idea what this woman is saying to me.
$22 for one day?
one day pass. Maybe you can travel unlimited.
$10 and $10.
Yes.
Okay, 20.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, by the way, let me tell you about the currency. This is what the Singapore dollar looks like. We bought tickets, but now we need to figure out if these are the right ones. They just gave me some Harry Potter cards. I'm not sure if I bought the right ticket. What if these are lottery tickets? Let's try to get in. Oh, it worked. By the way, look at this. It reminds me of the Moscow subway map. Because of the circular line, it looks like the Moscow subway in the mid-90s. In the Moscow metro, everyone stands on the left side of the escalator. But here, they stand on the right. I was standing on the right side of the escalator, and people were passing me with annoyed looks. I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. The train reminds me a lot of the ones in Dubai, very much. Very spacious. Lots of seats. There aren't many people in Singapore. Look around. Here are some people sitting, but very few standing. Same on the streets. There's hardly any traffic, and you barely see anyone walking around. Even in cafes, there aren't many people. Maybe it's their lifestyle. They conserve their energy and stay indoors. I don't know, but it's interesting. It's nice because there's no crowd. You can comfortably sit down and enjoy the ride in a cool, modern train. That's amazing. In Moscow, I've never seen people in wheelchairs in the subway. Here, the infrastructure is so accessible. You just take the elevator down and that's it. So easy. Can you imagine? It feels unreal to me. There's definitely a lot we can learn from Singapore. Oh, and there's a defibrillator in the subway. You can get emergency help right there without waiting for an ambulance. We decided to take a taxi because we were afraid of getting lost in Singapore's older neighborhoods and wasting time. We'll also see how expensive the fares are. I'm guessing it'll be high. We arrived at a place called Kampong Lorong Buangkok. This is one of the last remaining villages in Singapore. Now, we're going to see how people lived 50 or even 100 years ago. Each house here has its own unique style. That house over there, it looks like Chinese architecture. This one has an Indonesian vibe, with its yard and manicured lawn. You can hear sounds coming from inside, so people must live there. The house next door, it looks abandoned. The windows aren't boarded up, but they're tightly shut. It seems like no one's lived there for a while. The first house I walked into looked abandoned. No one was there at all. The doors were wide open. It's probably not a good idea to go inside or call out to anyone. But we didn't come here for nothing. There's a man sleeping. We accidentally entered someone's house. We don't want to disturb him, so let's find another one. Seeing a dirt road in Singapore feels impossible. It looks like we're in Bali location right now. It's like we're in Bali now. It looks like a village, but it's Singapore. Look at that nice blue house. It's very beautiful. This is Singapore before and after its economic rise, all in one frame. I'm walking around someone's house. No one greets me. There's just no one around. It feels awkward. I don't want to knock and disturb anyone. But there are shoes outside, so someone must be inside. You see cars here, but life seems calm and quiet. When I think about Singapore, I imagine something like Dubai, but in Asia. But it's not like that at all. It's peaceful. Everything here feels imbued with calmness and serenity. And there's absolutely no one around. This isn't an abandoned village. It's just an old residential area. But so far, we haven't met anyone here. Excuse me. Hello. It's just peace and quiet. Still, no one. The houses are quite low here, but it's clear there's someone living in this house. Still, everything here feels so calm and peaceful that I don't want to disturb anyone, knock on their door, or try to meet them. So, we're just walking around slowly, observing the place without bothering the locals. But of course, we'd like to learn more about the lives of the people here. Finally, our search was successful. Hello. Excuse me, do you live here?
Oh, yes.
Do you speak English?
Yes, a little bit.
How old are you?
I'm 67.
And how long have you lived here?
40, 50 years.
Oh, about 40 to 50 years?
Yes.
So, you've spent most of your life here. What's your name?
Rama.
Roma, like Roman?
Yes, my name is Roman.
What a cool name. My name is Alex. Nice to meet you. You were born here in Singapore, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
You know, I'm actually miserable.
But why?
My parents came to live here when I was very young. And then my dad left us, and it was just me and my mom. But she passed away, and now I live here all alone.
You're completely alone? No family?
I've been living here alone for over 20 years.
20 years without a family?
Yes, already 20 years.
Is this where you live in this little room? Can you show us around?
Come in, take a look. By the way, I don't have any doors.
Where do you sleep? Where do you cook?
Right here, on the floor. Come in. Don't be shy. This is my house. Here's where I sleep. This is my sleeping place.
You sleep like this on the floor? And how and where do you prepare your meals?
I don't cook inside here, but I have a music center. I keep my things in boxes. Look, I even have speakers. That's all I have. Not much, but it's enough to live on.
Roman lives right here. It's just a small room without doors. This Singaporean named Roman lives on the floor. Here he sleeps and cooks. He has a kettle, some coffee, and a few other items. He's completely alone. There's a small fan, a music center, something that looks like a vacuum cleaner, a big refrigerator in the corner, and his sleeping space. How many people live here in the village?
Only 20 people. Not many.
Just 20? There seem to be more houses here. So are they empty?
Yes, people just left and moved away.
I see. They've gone.
Most of them left for good.
Roman, we were so happy to meet you. Thank you so much for sharing your story and showing us your lovely home. I can't believe it. It's so hot inside. I don't know how he eats, sleeps, and lives in this heat. It's just very hot. It's like a nightmare. I just want to get outside into the fresh air to catch my breath. Roman also told us there are many empty houses here. People have either left them permanently or are away temporarily. He said one of his neighbors recently got married and moved out. Now there are only 20 people left in this neighborhood. And one of them is Roman, who has lived here for over 40 years. He's spent almost his entire life here. There's free water near one of the houses. In a basket-like box, anyone who wants can take some water. And we are really thirsty. I think it's very hot staying under the sun all day, but it's not a problem for us. Fresh water. It's factory. I mean, they didn't fill these bottles themselves. They bought it and put it here. We took 2 bottles, so the information is confirmed. There are only 26 houses in this small village, but only 20 people live here, not many. Many residents have left, some of them permanently. But these 20 people continue to live here. Their relatives and children still come to visit occasionally. Once, a long time ago, they decided not to leave this land and refused to participate in the globalization that drove Singapore's economic boom and massive urban development. People here lived simply, surrounded by jungle. And they chose not to give up their traditional way of life. And they're still here. Now, there are plenty of new high-rise buildings around them, but they've stayed. This village is like a little oasis in the heart of Singapore, surrounded by a jungle of concrete. It's a tiny piece of the real jungle amidst the modern cityscape. To the right is Nassim Road, one of the richest areas in Singapore. And to the left, just across the street, is a huge botanical garden. The landscaping in Singapore is a form of modern art. Look at this massive botanical garden. A real oasis of peace in the middle of the city. And of course, Singapore's futuristic multicolored super trees are famous worldwide. The smell of greenery here is so strong. Did you ever think the cola green could have a scent? Today, for the first time in my life, I smelled the color green. My lungs feel full of oxygen. It's incredible. I never thought you could experience such freshness and lightness in the middle of a big metropolis. This area is so quiet. Occasionally, you'll hear aircraft flying overhead. Look at the roads. There are hardly any cars. I'm standing in the middle of the road without disturbing anyone. But honestly, exploring areas like this isn't very interesting to me. All wealthy neighborhoods look the same everywhere in the world. Let's move on and see something else. Now we're in the dirtiest, most rundown and supposedly dangerous area in Singapore. This district is called Yishun. Look at these panel high-rises with security zones. You can't just drive in. There's a barrier and a security guard. Cameras are everywhere. There's a reputation for crime here. I've even read articles about garbage issues and rats running around the area. Reports vary, from littered streets to drug problems. But honestly, when we arrived, we didn't find anything alarming in this area. Now we're on the 12th floor of one of the apartment blocks, and I want to show you what it looks like. There are many apartment buildings here. The elevator takes you straight up to the apartments. There's a passageway and then the units. You can see people's belongings stored outside, shoes for example. Angry dogs, I don't want to go near them. To be honest, while walking around, we did get a few strange looks. People seem to observe you with suspicion. So let's move on before someone decides to let their dogs out. Overall, the area feels somewhat curious, but we didn't encounter any hostility or negativity. Even the elevators here in what's considered the most unfavorable area of Singapore are clean and fast. The worst thing we saw was some litter, papers on the grass and a few empty bottles someone didn't throw in the trash. So, the crime is still a big problem in Singapore. Just kidding. Now we're in Chinatown, which means we're about to eat some amazing food. We came specifically to try the famous Chinese noodles from a Michelin-starred restaurant where many well-known bloggers have eaten. We were curious to check it out ourselves and try this iconic dish. However, oh, there's no queue inside. That's because this restaurant no longer has a Michelin star. It lost the star due to a decline in food quality in 2021, but we've never eaten here before, so we'll try it and let you know if it still deserves the Michelin star. Service is very fast. We ordered and within 4 minutes our food was on the table. So, let's give it a try. What's so magical about these noodles? Well, they're tasty. Yes, just tasty. Not extraordinary. The sauce might be the secret. It doesn't taste like something you'd buy from a supermarket. Anyway, it's good but nothing exceptional. Over here, there's a giant bike parking area. Singapore is such a sporty city that they've designed spaces for people to easily park and pick up their bikes. It doesn't take up much space, and the government actively promotes a healthy lifestyle. You see lots of people training, running, jumping, and cycling all over the city. Everyone is very health conscious here. Do you know why? Because there are massive fines for smoking in public areas. $1,000 if you're caught smoking on the street. You can't smoke anywhere in Singapore. You are only allowed to bring one open pack of cigarettes into the country. Any additional packs must be declared, and you'll have to pay a hefty tax on them. However, even the cigarettes you bring might not be usable here. The reason is that cigarettes sold in Singapore have a special mark indicating they are legal and all taxes have been paid. Imported cigarettes lack this mark. If a policeman notices this during an inspection, you'll face a significant fine. By the evening, everything changes. It's now rush hour in the subway. There are no available seats. It's very crowded, just as you'd expect during this time. By the way, the subway in Singapore is driverless, just like in Dubai. But here, you don't need to buy a separate ticket for the front carriage to enjoy the view of the train in motion.
Yo, man.
Yeah, what's up, man? Where you from, man?
From Russia.
Oh, okay.
Now we're in an area called Little India, right in the heart of Singapore. The Indian vibe here is amazing. There are plenty of interesting shops selling everything you need. Fruits, flowers, and more. People are incredibly polite, helpful, and kind. We noticed that Singapore is home to a lot of Indians, Chinese, and Malaysians, but there are very few Europeans. We probably only saw about 10 Europeans in total. The metropolitan area has over 5 million residents, so how many Europeans are here in reality? I don't know. I'm not sure, but their presence is minimal. Walking here feels like being in India and Malaysia at the same time. People notice you, they pay attention, and you feel different. Everyone seems curious to look at you. Everyone is interested. Our world is truly incredible. Even in a modern metropolis like Singapore, you can find places where time seems to have stopped. In these kinds of places, you don't just feel like a traveler. You feel like a real discoverer. In the next video, we'll take you to a place where time feels frozen, as if decades haven't passed. And now, it's just pure frustration, anger, and disappointment. God, what emotions am I not feeling right now? It's so stupid. In the middle of nowhere, just to subscribe to the Heavy Travel channel. Hit the bell, find me on Instagram, and see you soon.